Gorillas in the mist, skin suits in the Senate. Water in the streets, chest deep like it's Venice. Water out a tap in Jackson comes blacker than resin. Black incidentally like most of its residents, which is why it isn't on your television, isn't on the lips of your president. Well, I'm admitting that as evidence. I've been fleshing out a case to be made for the testament. I don't know what our collateral count is, but doubt it is less than the estimate. You just show us a hospital, watch as we Dresden it. Our propaganda gets taken to heart, and you're scarfing it, like it or not. If you think that you aren't, I would urge you to pick that apart, cause you're drinking it, smoking it, driving it, dressed in it. We pay for it, pray to it, bathe in it, fill up the basin, and babies are blessed in it. Ask no questions, bask in the pestilence. See, honey, when the plague goes live, you'd be wise to invest in it. See, honey, when the plague goes live, just between you and I, that's an industry sign that they're all done testing it. And come 2025, they will all be confessing it. And then a few small fry fall guys all fly from the precipice, who are doomed to be wasted like shell corporations, dissolving to vapor, then gone with the resonance, gone with the sense and the sentiments, gone with the dust of the remnants, gone with the ghosts of the regiment, gone like those families in Gaza whose bodies and homes are demolished when Israel sets up a settlement. Gone like your chance at a settlement. Gone like the hope of apologies out of those funding our deadliest research and backroom development. Gone like your shot at a measly I'm sorry from the mouths of our own bioterrorists. God, you cannot imagine the face of the monster. You can't even fathom the scale of its carapace. It's under your feet, yet you're barely aware of it. You see, it's quietly judging the scope of your suffering, sizing you up like a therapist. Then it rides in your guts like a parasite, growing in size and excreting a culture that's purely embarrassment. Equal parts Manson and Maryland, equal parts something we push into madness and something we'll gladly exploit and objectify 50 years after it perishes. Carefully crafted and planned and arranged like a monarchy's marriages. Fucking cousins or otherwise, scourge of the colonized, staged and displayed for the sake of retaining those imperial barracks. And all to expedite a special type of anglicized dysplasia. The kind where half the world is waking up to learn they're being raided, raped, and robbed of all their heritage by Charles and his caravan of 30 servants' carriages. The kind where each in the procession is worth infinitely less, till eventually they're paid in sums of crown-approved disparagement and bonuses of shame, till they're finally told to thank the highest-ranking inbred pig named king of every garrison. One who rose into his power all immaculate, like Harris did. Well, now that garishness is melting down like paraffin that hardens in a shell and shelters terrified and threatened royal terrapin. Those that rule with zero question, although nobody elected it. Democracy was here till we dissected it. Democracy was here until the exhibition exodus. And the loss of that democracy is just a threat for those who've yet to recognize the scent of bait or know the taste of desiccants. Democracy was here and now the smear is all that's left of it.
Democracy was here and now the smear is all that's left of it.
Mother and baby on razor's edge, don't give a shit what your paper said. Economy creeping up out of red as they divvy a shitty little bit of bread. And miles away from that lady's ledge, her senator waking, he's safe and fed. And Abe got a paper to read in bed, jerking him off as they count the dead. Mother and baby on razor's edge, don't give a shit what your paper said. Economy creeping up out of red as they divvy a shitty little bit of bread. And miles away from that lady's ledge, her senator waking, he's safe and fed. Abe got a paper to read in bed, jerking him off as they count the dead. Mother and baby on razor's edge, they don't give a shit what your paper said. Economy creeping up out of red as they give me a shitty little bit of bread. And miles away from that lady's ledge, her senator waking, he's safe and fed. Ain't got a paper to read in bed, jerking him off as they count the dead. Mother and baby on razor's edge, don't give a a shit what your paper said. The economy creeping up out of red as they divvy a shitty little bit of bread. And miles away from that lady's ledge, her senator waking, he's safe in bed. They ain't got a paper to read in bed, jerking him off as they count the dead. Mother and baby on razor's edge, they don't give a shit what your paper said. The economy creeping up out of red as they divvy a shitty little bit of bread. And miles away from that lady's ledge, her senator waking, he's safe in bed. And ain't got a paper to read in bed, jerking him off as they count the dead.
People still owe money. People still owe money. No. People still owe money. People still owe money.
It looks to me as though you learned to love your prison. I guess you'd say you made it your own. Such a difficult decision. I bet you finally feel like you're home.
Right in the center where the halves meet. You were proud of incremental half speeds. You were getting down in the AOC dance line, hands tied, nodding to the backbeat. Your Secret Service dive in front of any representative alive, being asked for the very bare minimum. And you'll turn into that same kind of hard-right villain you detested should we mention they could ever muster maximum. Cause liberal denial's such a lofty ataraxia, where morals take a back seat, not up in the cab, but in hidden panels made by federal human traffickers. If you trust the autopilot, then you're just a sleeping passenger, passively accepting that it isn't us the bastards serve, making peace with all the evil walking on this rancid earth. Unity with those who bound your hands at birth. Glancing up at fascists on a bloody dais, thinking they just need a push. Not a holy man, but I'm praying for a burning bush. Yeah, I know you'd love to look away, but love, you need to look. There are many massacres the country manufactured that will never make the books. Now here's your fucking hook.
It looks to me as though you learned to love your prison. I guess you'd say you made it your own. Who knew that freedom's such a difficult decision? I bet you finally feel like you're home.
Home on the range of excuses. Justify some fracking, water down pollution, paint a fresh coat of bipartisan charm over backroom collusion. Your consent is being manufactured by illusions, marketing executives in federal seclusion, working day and night to keep you just the side of lucid, and too beat down for calling out abuses. So fuck all these progressives who can speak on revolution once they empty all your powder out and spit on all your fuses. I prefer to judge a leader not by quality of tweets, but the six-figure book deals she chooses. Donors he betrays, and donors that he'd gladly take a bullet before he refuses. Slogans he reuses, buzzwords he produces, then he spews like mucus. Well, two can play at that.
Welcome
So
to the Last
here's the
American
inner dialogue
Vagabond.
of
It is
every time I snap and it's fine-tuned to ruthless, and saying politics are useless. Just a bunch of loose lips tweeting cute shit, power suits, taxpayer booze trips. Bunker at the ready when the shoe flips, and there will be no news clips. There will just be
People still owe money. People still owe money. No.
It looks to me as though you learned to love your prison. I guess you'd say you made it your own. Who knew that freedom's such a difficult decision? So we're the last ones to know. We're the last ones alive. Kept our enemies close. Wondered why we don't thrive while we're grasping at ghosts, counting backwards from 5. Counting backwards from 5. Counting backwards from 5.
Count back from 5. The theater on fire, the cast on strike. The studio stock starts taking a dive. The contracts tossed and they're gone with the tide. The heads and execs, their hands are tied. We can't pump this dreck and treat you, right? But what do you expect from the industry type who survive by the leeching of bodies and minds? From those who original thoughts never seem to find. So they're gonna reboot ALF before your wages rise. And it gives cause to pause and reflect on the times. If they're losing control of their fools and their mimes, when all those obedient actors who grew their careers by averting their eyes are now holding the line, along with the authors of countless scripts that strengthen the hand of that corporate grip, squeezing our throats till we take the pen and we accept and consent to the corporate drip. Till you're all up to date on your pharma du jour, till you got a healthy support for the war on your lips. And now you know that the advertisers need more than a rerun summer full of flashback clips. Enter the scans from the year before, all the days of de-aging and mapping the face, and the hours of actors recording their voices are links in the chains that will bind them in place. Now all of those shows are so easy to make. When they got a drone they control that needs no break, it can bend, it can break, and it's cheaply replaced enough up-to-date films all in one take. And those studios bank on us doing our duty, unhinging our jaws and digesting the fakes. Because they know that we'll love how synthetic it tastes. Watch as they edit your features without any trace. Not that there's anything you could do anyway. Now watch as they show you a movie you used saying shit you would never say. Dystopia boldly accelerates. Maybe you're only a mold, something to fill with a clone, something that Elon would celebrate. Something they own, something they program and code, something that's woefully able to know it's exanimate. Cause it doesn't feel touch over top of the laminate. You will not feel an emotion, but they will not scan and examine it. You and the other consumer contaminants fed on the federal diet of Kiev, Havana, and Tiananmen. I can't be the only one weighing the pros of abandonment. I can't be the only one weighing the pros of abandonment.
Where did you think we'd go? Love, there's nowhere to lie. Guess it's not who you know, more it's what you can hide. Like we're chained to the floor, they're streaming us live while we're watching the war, counting backwards from 5. Counting backwards from 5. Counting backwards from 5. Counting backwards. SWAT team took your neighbor today. Watched them as they walked him
You told yourself extremists come in all different shapes.
Who are these people?
I did it right. Who are these people? Hi. Hey,
Wait,
everybody.
no, I'm not decent.
Did I peek it out? I usually peek it out every week. What's
Usually
up, fam?
you try to.
What up, fam? Hi, everybody, as Jesse usually says, but this is an American tradition. This is How Do We Miss That? It is it's Sunday night. It's 10 o'clock. So it's time to do this because this is our last live How Do We Miss That of the year. I got family stuff. I got family stuff next week and the week after. So this is going to be it for 2024 for the show. We'll be running like a best of type of thing probably the next couple of weeks. Year in review type of stuff like everybody else does. I'll work on that during the week. But I am excited, sort of, to get to tonight. Man, it was a rind pulling stories for this show, I must say. There's like a bunch of distractive narratives that have been happening right now, right? So everybody want everybody distracted, and it's frustrating to try to weed through all of those distractions to find some actual stories to cover that people are missing. To find independent outlets that are covering stories that aren't chasing the big clicks on all of the platforms, and no skin off. I got no hatred for the people that are doing that, but we try to dig a little deeper and find the stuff that people aren't talking about, and that's been really challenging because there's a lot of different things that people are talking about. And I made like a partial list of all of the things, all these distractions and all these narratives that are out there right now. All right. And we've got a couple of them that we're going to talk about one of them tonight, but we're not going to talk about, I'll tell you what we're not going to talk about right now tonight. We're not going to talk anything about Daniel Penny. We're not going to talk anything about the drones in New Jersey. We're not, I believe, going to talk about anything in Trump's cabinet picks, except for maybe labor.
Does he look like a bitch?
Maybe. We're not talking about any meme coins or any crypto. We're not going to talk about TikTok being shut down or sold this week or soon, because there's going to have to be some kind of an injunction. We're not going to talk about
Tic-tac-toe, a winner.
Not for the people that own it, no. We're not going to talk about Jay-Z or Diddy tonight. Like this, but this is what everyone seems to be distracted with.
We're sorry.
Just aside from the usual, hey, let's go watch whatever's number one on Netflix or whatever NFL game is happening right now, and haha to the New York Giants going 0-8 at home in the regular season. Beyond embarrassing to be a Giants fan this year. All right.
Yeah.
But there are
also
some
embarrassing to be a Colby Covington fan after last night, but
Oof.
do you?
Oof.
Oof. Oof.
That was a bloody pulp of a face.
Oof.
Happy to see
Did
it.
Did you see that he pre-cut his shirt to like rip it off?
Well, he is a real American,
Pre-cut
right?
it.
I am a real
He's
American.
a real
Dude came
Fucking-
out with
what
freaking
a
Hulk
clown,
Hogan,
dude.
a 90-year-old Hulk Hogan, who was not looking at his best. They did not bring their best. They did not.
They didn't bring their best.
They did not bring their
I bet
best.
Trump won some money off that bet. He bets for him to lose, which is also hilarious.
Bets against the guy who idolizes him, which is just wonderful. Yep, that's awesome. And then of course, there's whatever the shitlib nonsense is talking about this minute that people can rage bait click off of. We're not going to talk about any of that either, I promise. We're not. We are going to talk about Trump's first year All right, and what he's going to expect on the labor front from a bunch of different industries. A couple guys at Labor Notes really broke down where are the contracts that are going to be coming up in 2025. So where are the hot spots that we can expect to see looking a little bit forward as the labor struggles that Trump will likely encounter along the way in 2025 as he starts his first year of his second term. Then we're going to talk about Gaza. And it hurts and it sucks and not enough people are continuing to talk about it, but we're not going to let it out of our sights. Then we're going to try to make some sense of what the hell happened in Syria. Everybody seems to be selling everybody out. It's developing at the moment, so we're just going to kind of assess where we think we are at the moment and bring a couple of people's opinions. A lot of Indie Media Award honorees tonight because we need the opinions from the smartest people who we trust the most. Then we're going to do some digging, and then we're going to talk about Luigi Mangione. Now, last week, I said
Luigi, number one.
I prefaced the entire thing by saying that I hate talking about the narrative of the day, the narrative of the week. Thank you. Except it wasn't a Luigi, in my opinion. And that's what we're going to talk about. Now, I went on Convo Couch actually this week, which was awesome, and I'm really honored that Pasta invited me from chat to pop in because I had some things to say about this, and I think he disagrees with me, and that's fine. We're going to see who's right in the end. We'll see. It may be both of us. But I got to go on Truth Stream, or Truth Wire, that's what they're calling it now. Not Truth Stream, that would be cool too. I like those
Truth
people.
Social?
Melissa, Truth Stream Media. They're the ones that did that incredible documentary about North Carolina. But Truth Wire is the rebranded Convo Couch. And I got to go on there and spend 15 minutes with
Convo
Fee.
Couch, that's a good name, Convo Couch.
With Fee and Pasta.
What?
And Matt Weinglass earlier this week. But talking about what's going on and why
Is
this
it a
story
red or a white?
This story
one?
has got more. This story has got more holes than a block of Swiss cheese. All right, and we're going to talk about. And then we're going to go really deep. Dr. Nick and I were going back and forth this morning on Discord, and he shared some things with me that I hadn't seen yet. And while in the process of deciding to do this story, I couldn't figure out, like, what's the big story that I'm going to cover this week. I don't want to cover the big narrative. So what we're going to do is we're going to dismantle the big narrative. So while Reef is going and getting that, let's go show everyone the amazing INN supporters Wall of Fame. Thank you so much to everybody who has already contributed and supported INN and independent media, and supported the media they want to see, because we don't have advertisers, we don't have corporate donors or supporters, corporate funders. We don't read promo codes. We don't pitch product. Although we do have a merch store now. We've got you guys. So again, thank you so much. We run a value for value system. So if you feel like you're getting value out of the content here and from all the other shows on the network, as well as the daily updates, the Substack newsletter, everything that we do, anything you can do, the ways to do that, we're on that board right there. And that's Cash App, Ko-fi, PayPal, Patreon, or subscribe at INNnewsletter.com. You see all that going along the bottom. You can find all the links at indienews.network. And thanks for watching and for supporting independent media. I got this guy sitting next to me. Here he is. He's Reef. Reef is the co-host and engineer for INN News on Wednesday nights, in case you didn't know.
Hello, motherfucker.
Yeah, that guy. He runs the funny board, the funny sounds. And and he's been working on we got to work on this other article. We might do it during our break of some of the shadowy figures, shall we say, behind behind, what is it, Trump, basically? You know, we want to do like a deck of cards.
About any of them necessarily, but yeah.
Right. And who the
you
big
know, who
players.
are the real masters.
Right.
That way you don't get distracted by the standard political figureheads. You know who to actually look at, you know?
You know, PayPal Mafia guys, you know, the ones who actually control the stuff. So
the Illuminati, the New World Order.
So the first story I want to talk about tonight. Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
That needs to be over there. Good. All right. Labor notes. Like I said, union contract fights that are coming in 2025. This is a big article. Let me tell you, this is long. I was really surprised to read and see just how many there are here. So we've got labor notes. This came out earlier this week. Do I really?
You always forget. It's okay.
See,
I just got to remember to tell you not in the middle of the story.
It would be helpful. Yes, thank you. All right.
It's just like by the time you start the story is when I go look, and it's like, oh no.
Okay.
You know.
So. We get to in some. You know, first of all, they've got a picture of the Canadian postal workers, which is interesting. But this is not just about Trump. This is about the big union contract fights coming in 2025. Of course, with Trump being president, he's going to have to deal with a lot of these. But you've also got Canadians as well. Shout out to Himbo and Yeti and all our Canadian brothers and sisters out there. Kameshwari Kate, I believe she lives in Vancouver. She's out there.
Hoovery.
That's right.
The old Cooves.
All right. In some of the most exciting fights of 2024, strikers shut down ports on the East Coast and backed up plane orders on the West. The coming year is full of expiring contracts that could keep the strike wave rolling. So this list includes some big contracts lined up so unions can bargain and possibly strike together. So right away, you've got California teachers in dozens of districts covering tens of thousands of educators have lined up their contracts to expire in June. You've got LA, San Diego, San Francisco, and Oakland. And then on the East Coast, another major contract, 14,000 Philly teachers, expires at the end of August, which is right at the beginning of the school year, conveniently enough. All right. Contracts expire September 30th for another 57,000 workers at the healthcare giant Kaiser Permanente. That's out in California. All right.
Yep.
10 unions negotiate together as the Alliance of Healthcare Unions. I remember a few years ago they got this one done. Not to be confused with the SEIU-led coalition of Kaiser Permanente unions, because this couldn't get more confusing. All right. That was last year.
We've been talking about stuff over there with last year, right? Yeah. I remember.
All right. Then you've got contracts for another 16,000 members of the New York State nurses at 17 hospitals. Bargaining at 11 tables expire on December 31st of next year. 15,000 Minnesota nurses. 15 hospitals also have contracts lined up to expire in 2025. After they did a 3-day walkout 2 years ago, the union has new leaders who argued that it should have escalated to an open-ended strike back then. Amen. We probably said that at the time.
Most likely.
Right? We always advocate for putting the business actually at risk and not doing a 3-day strike. And that's just performative effectively. And they can just continue to move on, which is what they did here. All right. Workers at 15 nonprofit legal agencies serving low-income clients in New York City have aligned their contracts to expire June 30th. Interesting enough. All right. The agreements cover 2,500 workers across 15 units. It's not very many, but it's a number of units. And 2 UAW workers, locals, and 1 SEIU local. You got a lot of fights there. But then looking ahead, 2025 presents the chance for more unions to, and this is what they want, what they've been pushing for since the UAW contract, May 1st, 2028, May Day of election year. As if
Mayday.
a major labor strike general strike across the board during an election year, he believes is what is going to take to get all of the union bosses or to get the companies to cave to worker demands. Stupidly.
Yes.
And a way to kick the can down the road for 4 years or 3.5 years right now. And I remember somebody pulling this stunt at the end in mid 2022. A guy by the name of Chris. Chris, what are we doing, Chris? Chris was interviewed in Times Square on Labor Day, actually. And somebody put a microphone in his face and said, General Strike? Yeah, 2024. I'm calling for it. Well, it is December 15th, 2024, and Chris no longer leads a union.
No, Chris? What are you doing, Chris?
Sadly. Okay, looking ahead, like you said, the UAW, whose contracts with Ford, UAW, and Stellantis expire. I believe that somebody else also aligned their next contract to expire at this date, too. But national conventions of the postal workers and AFT passed resolutions supporting the call. All right. The postal workers union contract is still in bargaining after expiring September 30th. So throw that on top of the pile, too. But allegedly, I have a friend of the family and a kid who goes to school with my girls. Father works. What?
You can't say friend of the family with that much of a New Jersey accent. People start to think about things.
Well,
works in waste management.
No, he works for the post office. And he's worried that they're talking about layoffs, like big layoffs, and he's worried for his job right now. And he's been working for the post office like for 30 years. By the way, he does, his last name does end in a vowel, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh,
in this case.
Oh, hey.
And he has not seen anything in the sky by my, as far as I know.
Right?
Now,
sorry, I'm just doing vowels.
he is not a letter carrier, though he is a postal worker. All right. The contract for 200,000 letter carriers has been expired since last year. A TA this fall sparked outrage because it would only raise wages 1.3% a year and preserve the tiers. So you've got a multi-tier wage system. If workers voted down and ballots are due back in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks, their negotiators must return to the table before the matter could move to binding arbitration. Members activists have been organizing grassroots contract rallies. Good. And again, they go down the line by vertical and by industry. So you've got a bunch of grocery workers. Look at this, 800,000 grocery workers. Well, we know what's going to happen there. They ain't going on strike. They're going to get that one settled. All right.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Maybe. That would be a good idea. But off
you
the
know
table,
what that's from, right? You seen that?
Yes, ants. Sure.
I think.
Off the
Either
table.
that or A Bug's Life, one of the two.
I don't think it's A Bug's Life. I think that's the other one. I think ants is the one, the really worker-focused one.
With the crickets. Yep.
But off the table for now is that threat of the Kroger-Albertsons merger, which I'm sure they're going to relight the minute Trump gets in office. That was recently shut down by 2 court cases backed by several of the locals that are bargaining this year for United Food and Confectionery Workers. All right. The 2 supermarket behemoths were attempting to further consolidate power. Opponents of the merger feared that it would lead to store closings and higher prices, which it would. Kroger, Albertsons, Ralph's. I mean, half the chains on the West Coast, they were shutting down other supermarkets in anticipation of this. That's a bad deal. But again, King Supers.
Stephanie in the chat It says, I work for the post office. The contract is trash. We're voting against it. So
we like hearing that. So good. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Solidarity with the workers there. You know, we know they treat you like shit. And that they're looking to automate more. They're looking to, and what they were talking about and they were much more concerned about, you know, privatizing and outsourcing more of this stuff to UPS and FedEx, but now also Amazon. You know, Amazon's got a massive delivery fleet on their own. They're outsourcing the trucking portion of that delivery portion, but they can get mail just about anywhere in the world, definitely around the country. Now, the good thing is that it's constitutionally mandated. And there are still areas that Amazon, UPS, FedEx won't serve in this country. Amazingly enough, nobody talks about that. That, you know, it would literally be a desert without a post office. So, yeah, they need those. But, yeah, May 1st, there you go. May Day is the deadline for the Allied Grocery Agreement in the PNW, covering 30,000 members of the local UFCW, Teamsters Local 38 across a number of chains. So you've got a ton of grocery workers, another 3,800 Kroger workers in Indianapolis. So all over the place, you're going to have grocery workers. Here are healthcare workers in 55,000 in California or in Washington, 6,250 nurses at Stanford hospitals in California, right? And in 2022, contracts, they struck for 7 days in 2022. It also expires at the end of May for Kaleida Health and Catholic Health workers. That's another 6,200 workers up in Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Right. This time they all could walk out together at both chains for better benefits and stronger enforcement power on staffing ratios. The hope is that CWA and that SEIU doesn't cut a deal. What our concerns have been with these larger, you know, unions for unions is that they have ulterior interests. And it's not just about getting a deal.
Ulterior motives.
It's not just about getting a deal for these 2,400 Kaiser Permanente health workers, mental health workers. They want to get a deal for all of their members. So,
is it just me? But like, the name Kaiser Permanente sounds like, you know, permanent tyrant to me. You know.
Well, there was a family, I believe, that was part of that. All right. Several big units of airline and railroad workers are also making their way through the maze of negotiations laid out in the Railway Labor Act, which can take years. You've got flight attendants, members of United, 28,000 of those. Alaska Airlines, another 6,900, and Frontier, as long as they stay in business, 4,000. They've all voted overwhelmingly to strike. That's good. We're going to see that. Well, that's not going to be good if you want to fly. United happens to be the airline that I use the most, unfortunately, but we're going to have to look at some alternatives, it looks like.
I thought you were like a Spirit guy. You know?
Well, no, definitely not. Especially if, you know, the way they paid. Yeah, we covered that a couple weeks ago. The way they paid their CEO was gross. The fact that they're bankrupt now. And but no, United, where I live is a United hub, so it just makes sense. You can fly anywhere. But major issue is boarding pay. Again, flight attendants, we talked about this, are generally not paid for the time that they spend working on the ground before the airplane doors close. They're only paid for the time in flight.
Before we got on the show, my mom was watching Carlin spit about airplanes.
Oh.
You know,
yeah, fuck you, I'm getting in the plane.
Staff. yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, first they were stewardesses. I call them the lady on the plane.
Right.
This is very good.
Very good. No, that's as good as it gets right there.
Yeah.
So boarding pay, flight attendants again are only paid for the time that they're in the airplane and that the doors are closed, which is crazy. The boarding time, like you spend a half hour boarding and then you have to deboard or whatever you call that. That takes 15 minutes to get everybody off the plane, and also crazy. So that's just stealing time from workers, just like they always do. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had 10,000 Teamster techs at United. Oof, United's going to have a rough 2025. The airline is already demanding concessions. Good luck with that. So we've got the railroads already.
How does Boeing handle the next year?
Well,
you
I believe they've still got people on strike. Well, no, they signed a TA, right? Or there was one of them that got rejected. Mm-hmm. So they're still on.
I mean, hitmen ain't cheap this time of year, so
right?
We'll see.
Yeah. The railroads, sorry. 12 workers and 4 of the 12 rail reunions have already voted down TAs, right? So there's even more coming up next year. Now the more traditional negotiations are getting underway. The rail industry is left in an extremely fragmented bargaining landscape. Rail unions, rail employees bargaining away from a central negotiating table. In a way, that's good, but the railroads continue to cut jobs and make the remaining workers work more hours under grueling schedules doing that.
Which we saw what happened with that.
Yep. East Palestine. What? Yep. Like more derailments happen. More shit happens there. All right. Then you've got building trades. You got the electrical workers, solar energy workers. All right. 12,000 electrical workers at PG&E. That's out in California. That expires on December 31st at the end of the year. All right, May 31st.
We'll still be working this weekend.
Yep.
Yep.
29,000 faculty members at Cal State University system at the middle of the year. So many of these. So we're going to have plenty of things to cover. All right. Manufacturing, you got GE Aerospace. There's your Boeing. Another Boeing machinist contract is up July 27th. Right? Okay. You've also got General Dynamics. 2,500 there. 4,000 UAW members at Rolls-Royce in Indiana. Then you've got the first 2 contracts for Tennessee, Chattanooga Volkswagen. Can't get that out.
Yep.
And that Ultium battery plant is new. This Spring Hill thing, another 1,000 workers there. Longshoremen's. We've already talked about
the longshoremen.
We've talked about the longshoremen, but we heard that Harold Daggett is meeting with Trump, and they're singing each other's praises, and they're gonna probably get a deal done.
My pops industry is probably looking at getting, because they've been kind of like not hiring that much, keeping everything down, like while that last Biden term kind of plays itself out. I imagine once Trump gets back in, a lot of that like starts back up again. Regulation starts getting pulled down.
Right.
So we'll see. But
so the final summation of all of this is that all the 2025 contracts will be negotiated under a changed terrain under a second Trump administration, backed by right-wing billionaires like Elon Musk, eager to go to war with unions. All right. But many companies have enjoyed years of record profits and big stock increases. Yeah, and they want more. And the labor market remains relatively tight. Sort of. Will unions be able to wrest big gains from their employers? My guess
is next time.
My guess is not as much as we'd hope, but they would like you to stay tuned to Labor Notes. I would say stay tuned to How Do We Miss That, because we're a lot less biased towards union leadership than Labor Notes is. Though this was a good one. This is all fealty towards unions, and where unions are fighting against the bosses.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
Right? That's what it feels like sometimes. Howdy to everybody here, fam. Yeah.
Howdy. Howdy.
Before we continue, let me put that up again. Hey, you got that right there.
Me up.
Oh, hold on. Well, Cash App, Ko-fi, PayPal, and Patreon. You see so many of these incredible people in chat now. Love you all. Thank you so much, really. Anything you can do to help us. We are, I think I'm going to end up paying off Zago on Tuesday. We got the final thing there.
Nice.
Yes, so we got that. And then let me also go to you. You want a single? There's Reef.
Yep. Looky, things are printing. Yay, printing. Ooh,
yes, Reef's a
printing.
3D printer. For those who didn't know. And what are we printing?
But it's just like a little stand for stuff, but I finally got things working, I think.
So,
which is nice.
So now the cartridge isn't stuck in the middle and globbed up and stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like if you look over on that left-hand side where like this little thing comes up.
Yeah.
Right? This is your like extruder. This is your hot end. This is like shoving that filament through this tube. It's got like little teeth. Like it wasn't engaged properly, and like it's hard to get filament in here without it getting bound up. So I literally had to like put it on the floor so it had like a good path up through the hole in the tent. But seems okay.
Nice.
So
3D printer Reef.
That's nice.
Have a 3D printed INN thing, just like he has behind him. He sent me one
Where
here.
it's on the ground.
Yeah, it keeps falling down. Anyway,
always.
Cowboy Kitty, Jesus, man. I'm glad you made it to a truck stop. One of your random truck is working moments, but that's really frightening. Yeah, we don't want to see anybody get cold in their truck, for sure. So that's cool. Good times, kill your egregores. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Dr. Nick, the Legion of Punt, gross. Gross, dude. Old Man Barker, good to see you. Natalie Williams, you're so
Camera,
sweet.
Hello? Camera?
He is a
focus, you fuck.
He is a trucker to answer your question. Shadow Hob, yes, good to see us over on Kick. We've been over on Kick for a while. We're catching Kit and we're catching Hardlands and we're going to 1 million together, damn it. We got to do this together. So I saw today they're at about 185. We are right now at about 55, so we're right behind them. That's not that far behind. It's a lot closer than we are on YouTube, I'll tell you that. Because we got started a lot closer together. I kind of feel like that helps. So that's great. But yeah, kick.com/Indie News Network. We're also live over on BitChute, and probably most of you didn't even realize that. I don't advertise it. I just kind of co-stream it there. I think we have, there is a chat, but nobody monitors it.
You fool! I have 70 alternative accounts!
That's right. BitChute.com/channels/Indie News Network. That's how to find that one. So you can find that over there.
What's wrong with that?
Hey, BitChute's cool, man. You know, they were the original, forget Rumble, they were like the original We Don't Censor platform. It's just they're finally getting their stuff together on live streams, and yeah, there's some really awful crap there. That's why that's because they don't censor, but they've been doing that a long time. All right, so man, I don't even want to have to do this, but we're gonna have to get a little harsh here.
Sorry, children.
Yeah, thank you. Electronic Intifada, Nora Barrows Friedman. You know, they want their 2024 Indie Media Award honoree. All right. The Israeli army is forcing Palestinian families to flee Beit Lahia in North Gaza to make makeshift tent encampments in Gaza City And that was like 5 days ago. And look at the rubble behind these kids. Go ahead.
Did you see the thing that Caitlin posted? Recently about like
one.
She was just talking about like how, you know, some of the stuff gets to you, you know, and there was like a kid with a rollerblade, like literally having like a rollerblade on his hand to like, because he has no legs.
Yes.
And that's what he's using.
I saw that.
It was heartbreaking.
Yes, it's terrible.
So,
her headline is again that Gaza has become a graveyard for children, UNICEF says. I saw those words and I'm like, I can't not talk about this. Yeah. I mean, I have
and that's
kids.
UNICEF, which is not, doesn't have the greatest record.
No, but I have kids, and this is, you know, we've been seeing this steady flow for 14 months. As she mentions, this is from the news roundup from the December 11th live stream, and you can watch them live just about every day. They're on Rumble, they're on YouTube, they're on Twitter. They also have an account, I believe, over on the Blue Skies for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're a news outlet, so they're the only ones that are basically posting over there. Israel's campaign of systematic slaughter, forced displacement, and destruction and starvation in North Gaza is now in its 10th week, while airstrikes and massacres are being carried out across all areas of the coastal enclave. Palestinians in North Gaza, let me make this a little bigger, endured more rounds of forced displacement this past week, as Israeli forces ordered approximately 5,500 people sheltering in schools in Beit Lahaya to go to Gaza City. They just keep shuffling and moving these people from place to place to place, only to drop more bombs on them and move the survivors somewhere else, to drop another bomb on them, to move the survivors somewhere else. It is the harshest, cruelest, most awful thing. Journalist Ibrahim al-Khalili reported from North Gaza as people were forced to leave amidst Israeli tank shelling on December 5th. The UN says that about 8,000 people have been forcibly displaced to Gaza City from the northern areas since the end of November. They're truly cleansing northern Gaza at this point, you know, and which is amazing because all we've heard right now was that if you're even seen in North Gaza, they automatically assume that you're a terrorist and they murder you on sight. So I'm surprised that they even found 5,500 in a refugee camp. It did. On December 11th, an Israeli attack in Beit Lahaya killed, again, at least 20 people living in the multi-story home of the Abu Tarabish family. On Tuesday, the Israeli army bombed a residential building in Beit Hanun, in the corner of northeastern Gaza, killing 25 people and injuring dozens more. I mean, it's like reading the nightly news in any place except that here everybody's dying instead of like, you know, you had this one person shot and taken to a hospital and they're in stable condition. Blah. That's not happening here. Completely homes wiped away, displaced, left with nothing but the clothes on their back, if that, and no relatives even in a lot of cases. It's wow. In Beit Lahaya, Israeli forces carried out a series of massacres in and near the Kamal Adwan hospital in the past several days. Because they haven't, like, gotten enough already.
Yeah.
Again, when does this stop? When is it enough? When, you know, how many hostages are even left at this point? You know, they've dropped the guys of the hostages. So are you just taking the land and you're going to destroy everybody? And is that, you might as well just say it and do it and get it over. I mean, I don't want them to get it over, but to drag it out like this is just, It's insufferable for everyone. It's
frustrating.
On Friday, December 6th, a week ago Friday, Israel launched yet another attack on the hospital itself, including firing directly on an ambulance near the hospital compound. I'm sure they would say it was Hamas. All right. They directly targeted an ambulance. Again, anything moving, they're shooting.
Yep.
Field teams with the Euromed Human Rights Monitor reported that Israeli troops used Palestinian detainees as human shields again, forcing them to warn hospital staff that all displaced persons and companions of patients must leave the premises and head to areas controlled by Israeli forces. Many then were arrested upon arrival, while others were forced to flee to a checkpoint in the civil administration in that area, and eventually to Gaza City. I mean, just what? These are hospital patients. These are people that were already injured. Now you have to flee to Gaza City? How many miles is that walking? Fucking barbaric. Israel bombed the hospital's vicinity while ordering medical staff and patients to leave, according to the Euromed. The siege lasted several hours, leaving between 30 and 50 people dead in nearby streets and homes. Why? Why? What were they doing? What were they doing? A surgical delegation from Indonesia was also forcibly evacuated from the hospital by the Israeli army, leaving the hospital without a single surgeon.
Who are these people?
War crime after war crime after war crime after motherfucking war crime.
Worst.
And here they are. Here's the statement from the delegation.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Indonesia. We just come from Kamal Adwan Hospital. There is two warning for us to evacuate from Kamal Adwan Hospital, and they heavily bombing the hospital now, and there is a lot of medical staff, patient out there and stay there. So from the last news, they told us that already 50 shahid in the hospital. They supposed to stop bombing the hospital or to evacuate the person there. Alhamdulillah, we walk from Kamal Adwan until Salah Al-Din Street, and the ambulance already pick up us. Alhamdulillah. Please pray for our college, medical staff, and people in around Kamal Adwan Hospital. Thank you.
Jeez. I mean, can you imagine the courage to fly into Israel and then go there and help, and then have them turn around and say, get out or we're going to bomb the hospital, and then bomb the hospital? Like, without you even having a chance to get out?
Crazy, man.
According to the hospital's director, 4 members of his medical staff were killed and many others were injured. Again, why? Because they want to systematically destroy the entire community and the infrastructure and the medical staff that could help patch them up, and the media that could allow them to communicate with each other and with the rest of the world. So isolate them, starve them, and then gaslight them and make them scramble for their lives while you murder them. It's how are we not? I know how, but how is somebody not sending troops in to try to take Netanyahu to The Hague right now? Isn't that what we're all supposed to be doing?
You think?
So the hospital director,
international laws, not a thing.
The hospital director also added that the Israeli forces, of course, targeted oxygen generators leaving only 2 inexperienced surgeons to handle critical cases. Again, that's part of the plan. Despite their limited expertise, they began performing surgeries to save 20 critically injured individuals. Who knows how many they actually got to. Less than 24 hours after Israeli drones bombed Kamal Adwan Hospital, Israeli forces attacked it again. And this time they killed 16-year-old Mahmoud Abu al-Aish, who used a wheelchair while he was heading to the radiology department, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Hamas, right? According to, of course, because that's who runs the Gaza Health Ministry. Just, again, we've got Saturday, December 7th, Israel targeting the hospital. This video from Anas al-Sharif recorded inside. Okay, this is where they would call it Pallywood. No, this shaking the fucking building. That is... Yeah, you got to keep the windows covered because snipers, of course.
Yeah.
All right. Hospital director again reported Saturday that Israel had targeted the ICU and surgery wards, as well as the engineering and maintenance departments, because they're the ones to make the hospital run. And of course, the attacks injured 3 children, including one who was already hospitalized. He described the assault as barbaric. All of this is barbaric. Then you've got Al-Mawasi, more displaced Palestinians burned alive. Not playing that one. God bless the Electronic Intifada for doing this kind of work.
Yeah.
This is breaking me right now. Destruction caused by Israeli airstrikes in central Gaza. And that was, again, December 7th, a day that shall live in infamy. If I remember correctly, we called it once. This country. Look at this. Why?
Mm-hmm.
So BlackRock...
Apparently they need the real estate.
So BlackRock can rebuild. Right. Awful. At least 5 Palestinians were killed on December 11th in Nusrat and Deir al-Balah as Israeli aircraft bombed central Gaza. Another 34, including at least 6 children, reported by the UN, were killed in an Israeli attack on a residential building, again, at the Nusrat refugee camp, December 6th. It's just,
most likely Lavender AI targeted.
But remember, the number's still under 40,000, right? Just under 40,000.
It's like how? It's fucking awful, man.
I hate seeing these. I hate seeing these, but we have to see.
I know.
I can't. I'm in at 20. I can't.
I know, dude. It's fucking awful. How do you live with that? Every day, day in, day out.
I don't know. I don't know.
Stronger people than me.
It's hard to even look at and know that it's being done in your name.
I know.
And that we're funding it and we're arming it and we're responsible for this. Starvation intensifies. Again, Nora Barrows Friedman talking about that World Food Program, talking about how over 50 days, almost no food has reached northern Gaza, which is the plan from Israel.
I saw they had India. It must have been like, I don't know, 3-year-old maybe in press jacket and helmet with a microphone, right?
Yes, I saw like a 6-year-old.
Right, like asking people for chocolate. Like, send chocolate and meat and flour, please.
Except they won't let it. They don't know that that's not being let in.
I know.
That the trucks are being stopped at the border with all that stuff. A recent survey by UNICEF showed that nearly 100% of children between 6 and 23 months and pregnant and breastfeeding women in Gaza City, Syria, al-Bala, and Khan Yunis are not, of course, meeting minimum dietary diversity. They're not even meeting minimum food requirements.
I mean, they killed the guy that makes Palestinian children like hamburgers and stuff, man. Like, he played that guy on the show multiple times.
Yeah.
You know?
This was also the 1-year anniversary this week of Rifat's murder. And his book went published, and hopefully it made the bestseller list. A bunch of people had pre-ordered it. Try to make that happen. But finally, as they always do, they want to share images of people expressing defiance and resilience in the face of Israel's campaign of destruction. This week, Translating Palestine and the Samir Project, local social media, and aid groups honor the sanitation workers in northern Gaza. These workers are mostly volunteers. They receive irregular and scarce wages. I mean, who's got money to pay them? All right. The narrator says today is day 430 of the war, and despite the difficult circumstances, they are creating hope. And by cleaning our streets in Gaza, Gaza will be, God willing, even more beautiful than it once was. I mean, just wow.
اليوم 430 في الحرب، ورغم الظروف الصعبة إلا إنهم بيصنعوا الأمل وبنطفوا شوارعنا في غزة، وغزة إن شاء الله راح ترجع أحلى من الأول. يعطيك العافية. الله يعافيك. لا خير. تفضل يا خير. يعطيك العافية. طبعا عمال الضغط بيصنعوا الأمل بعد 400 يوم.
But worse, it only gets worse because we brought another Indie Media Award honoree. I only went to the best of the best for this because it's just so rough and you don't know who's telling you what. Sharon Jay, UN officer, says that Israel's bombs are evaporating Palestinians' bodies in Gaza. They're not even finding the remains of people. Now, how do you count bodies when there are no bodies left to count? Literally. Okay, here's another Israeli strike on what little they have set up out of corrugated just Israel is dropping bombs on Gaza with such destructive power that the strikes are disintegrating Palestinians' bodies. The UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine, refugees, that's UNRWA, who Motaz works for, said that doctors at Nasser Hospital in southern Gaza have told her that bodies are evaporating due to strikes on tent camps for Palestinians who've been forcibly displaced due to Israeli forces destroying the vast majority of buildings. Doctors speak about the strikes so fierce and relentless. People are now sheltering in tents. They have much less protection than they did a year ago when they were in buildings. Again, part of Israel's plan. They're telling me that bodies are completely evaporating and they're not even finding remains of people after the strikes because there's no protection for them at all. Many Palestinians in Israel's designated humanitarian safe zone, gaslighting motherfuckers, in southern Gaza are sheltering in tents and makeshift shelters after being displaced. That's the nice way of saying having their homes bombed and destroyed for multiple times. Despite these tent camps being relatively bare because they killed everybody else, with little but tarps and cloths above families' heads, Israeli forces still have dropped 2,000-pound bombs and other bombs with huge destructive power on the region. Why? Because, well, they've got to use all that ammo so they can replenish it with American money, right? They got that cash coming in. Just last week, Israeli forces bombed the safe zone in al-Mawasi, killing at least 23 Palestinians, including 4 children. Strike targeted a densely populated tent camp and caused a fire to break out that reportedly burned people alive, one human rights group said, as Nora had reported in her previous article. The doctors are beside themselves because not only are people being killed in the bombs and strikes, they're now also watching them die from illnesses that would normally be treated, but they don't have the medication. They don't have the medical care. They don't have the anesthesia, the penicillin, the basics, the bandages, the diapers, the insulin. So diabetics are dying in the streets. Again, part of Israel's plan. But everybody says, you know, Israel's, I don't know, whatever. Fuck those guys.
Yep.
Israeli forces have been blocking the vast majority of humanitarian aid from entering Gaza, while reportedly empowering looting gangs who attack and seize what little aid Israel does allow in. This month, UNRWA said it's been forced to stop using the main aid crossing Kerem Abu Salem, due in part to Israeli-sanctioned violence in the region. Nothing happens without Israel allowing it to happen right now. They have eyes on everything. UN agencies have warned that the entire humanitarian operation across Gaza is collapsing. Again, part of Israel's plan. They've designated UNRWA a terrorist organization. The lack of aid like food and medical supplies is the worst in the north, like we said earlier, the current focal point of Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign. According to the Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs for the occupied Palestinian territories, IDF has been blocking nearly all aid from entering northern Gaza for 66 days after the start of Israel's escalated invasion there in October. I don't know if you would notice that there was any kind of escalated invasion, but okay. But this has left an estimated 65 to 75,000 people there without access to any food, water, electricity, or reliable health care, as mass casualty incidents continue to be reported. Again, part of the plan. I know I'm repeating myself pretty often.
I know. We do it frequently every week.
The Gaza Health Ministry warned on Tuesday that there were roughly 60 patients at an Indonesian hospital, how about that, who are at imminent risk of dying of starvation and dehydration due to the blockade, while they evacuated all the doctors and everybody else. Meanwhile, more people in need of medical care each day due to Israel's bombing campaign. You know, we've covered this. We've been talking about healthcare workers and how they've been systematically destroying the healthcare system intentionally for a long time. Sharon is great. This was one of the good ones from her, for sure. And more stories like that, because you're not getting that from most corporate media or even most independent media, sadly enough. Join those people there and the people in chat who are the best people. And I saw Sean the Accord Lord hooked us up with the Ko-fi, $40. Thank you so much, really. That was great.
Yeah.
That gets us to 90%. Appreciate that, really. Cash App, Natalie Williams, I saw she said something about that she hooks us up on Cash App. So if you did that, awesome. Thank you. What the what?
I wish there was a plugin for the Cash App that like let us know when people sent it there.
Yeah,
put it on stream.
That would
exists.
That would be cool. Yeah. Mostly Cash App is mobile, so I don't know if there's a way to. I'll bet there's probably some kind of if trigger that I can build there. Sorry, let me put that back.
Yeah.
Hi everybody. All right, well that was depressing. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Cynic, for that. Apologies. No, that was hard. And how does one punish monsters like this, though? We apparently can't BDS because of the ruling class has very successfully divided us to conquer us, yes. And they have the judicial sewn up too, perhaps from, I don't know where, and whatever that gets finished. Where'd that come from over there on YouTube? Oh, it didn't get finished. It got cut off. Oh, from the start. Here we go. Even when it's the monopoly on violence the state has over all of us. Zelga, this 4TW, good comment. Yeah. How does one? Well, we need a global power that can say enough is enough and stand up to the bullies. Because at this point, that's all this is. This is a schoolyard bully. So
the issue is that there's like 18 schoolyard bullies, all those foreign powers are dealing with.
No, we're about to talk about that next. Natalie Williams, APAC money and Mossad threats make it easy for Congress to turn a blind eye. Absolutely, Sean. Yes, that's right, Natalie.
Yeah.
They bought 3/4 of our Congress. They bought the presidency. Effectively, Miriam Adelson bought a very favorable ear. And we've already started to see things play out, that it looks like some kind of behind-the-scenes deal involving Trump and Putin was made. And that's one of the things going down with Syria right now. And we're gonna get into that. That's kind of funny. See, he's hanging out in chat. He's not in jail. This is what I meant. Luigi Mangione didn't do it. He's hanging out. Welcome to the stream, Luigi. Welcome to the stream. Beautiful. Oh, see, I just got the alert. Thank you, Natalie. Cash App. There we go. Yeah, there's no way to put that up on stream, but thank you so much. We really appreciate everybody who's able to contribute. Cash App is the easiest way with no fees to get it to the bank account. Ko-fi, PayPal's really easy too. And then the monthly fees over the monthly subscription or annual. Kameshwari Kate last week picked up an annual, or Tuesday night picked up an annual subscription over at a Substack. That was really awesome at indiemediatoday.com. I think it's just $40 a year or $50 a year. It's not that much, but it really helps. All of it helps. And we really love you for it. Thank you. All right. So we got Syria. Holy crap. You want to talk about like a mix of who the hell knows what's going on? Because I couldn't really make heads or tails of all this. There's a lot of history and a lot of complicated relationships in the region. A lot of groups that I'm not that familiar with, or at all for that matter. So I decided...
A lot of accusations going around.
Go ahead. So yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I decided...
Continue.
Accusations? Go ahead.
No, continue. Your turn.
But I decided to lean on some of the experts and some of the Indie Media Award honorees. Hey, in Mint Press News, they're an Indie Media Award honoree. And so is the guy who wrote this article, Robert Inlakesh, 2024 journalist for top journalist. he says here, and he's, again, not the only opinion. There's a lot of different opinions coming out, and very often you see a lot of people within a space kind of form a consensus opinion. That's not going on here. Everyone seems to have a different take on this and bring a little something different and have their own reasoning for it, and it's gotten some people upset even. It got a couple of people canceled this weekend, as I think it should have, because they just kind of show their asses. But I don't want to get into that. I want to show this. Within hours of Bashar al-Assad's deposition, the Israeli military launched an unprecedented offensive that seized more land in the Golan Heights. The Trump Heights. We're going to call it the Trump Heights from now on. Israel now openly seeks to implement a buffer zone plan that will seize more of Syria's territory, a plot that's been over a decade in the making. Make no mistake about it. Again, this is Robert Inlakesh over at Mint Press News. In February 2013, it was reported that the Israeli government had been presented with a buffer zone proposal that would extend as far as 10 miles, buffer zone, right, into Syrian territory. This would, of course, mean violating the 1974 disengagement agreement with Syria, which saw Israel withdraw from a series of areas in the Golan Heights. Technically, but of course we know that they never really withdrew, and they always maintained spies and tried to place spies there. And there were tons of Israeli spies in Syrian prisons who were caught that were let out this week. By the way, we're going to get to that.
Possibly a few of them in the government, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe.
Not sure.
Maybe. So they violated the 74 disengagement agreement with Syria. All right. Later on that same year in 2013, the U.S., along with its allies, Israel and Jordan, sought to establish two separate buffer zone areas inside southern Syria. We're going to take the oil. We'll take the oil. All right. The first was set to extend from the west of Katana and areas in the Damascus countryside down to the Jordan border, working to clear any Syrian presence from the Golan Heights. Unbelievable. The second buffer zone was set to extend from Daraa to Jabal Druze along the northern Jordanian border. This plan was to be enforced through the deployment of 20,000 American soldiers who would be stationed in Jordan. How convenient that King Abdullah would allow them to do that.
Yep.
This buffer zone model inside Syria was to be modeled on the good fence strategy implemented over 2 decades in southern Lebanon. Although Israel would eventually have its own forces stationed there, it would rely heavily on local militia forces to operate such a system. Why they would cooperate with them, I don't really understand. While this was labeled a buffer zone strategy, in reality it amounted to a military occupation of Lebanese territory using right-wing Markanite Christian militias to do all the heavy lifting through self-described Southern Lebanon Army, SLA. All right. Hey, I know that guy, Greg Stoker. All right. Mm-hmm. They talked about this. In 1967, Israel illegally occupied the Golan Heights from Syria, which would end up triggering off-and-on violence between the two sides as Israeli forces routinely send settlers and military vehicles deeper into Syrian lands, of course, with no punishment or or penalty from the international community, attempting to expand their territorial control. Former Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Dayan even admitted that Israel could be blamed for over 80% of the incidents, which inflamed tensions around the demilitarized zones between Israel and Syria ahead of the '67 war. Yeah, they were trying to take that territory. During the 1973 October War, they call it the Yom Kippur War in the Jewish community, that was launched by Syria and Egypt in a bid to recapture their own occupied territories from Israel, when the tide began turning militarily after Washington began aiding its allies in Tel Aviv, Israeli forces pushed even further into Syrian lands. All right. The situation even triggered Iraqi President Saddam Hussein to send his army to reinforce Damascus as the situation grew dire for Hafez al-Assad. I think that was Bashar's dad. Israel later annexed the Golden Heights, which was rejected by the international community, who deemed it illegal through the passing of UN Security Council Resolution 497. Despite this condemnation, Tel Aviv was never punished for violating the binding resolution and then renaming it after Donald Trump.
Yep.
Right? The war in Syria that began in 2011 then presented the Israelis with a new opportunity to claim territory that would solidify their control over the resource-rich Golan Heights. In 2013, while planning to secure a new buffer zone in southern Syria, Israel began providing support to at least a dozen opposition groups that were fighting against the Syrian Arab Army. That's Assad's army. And I find that really interesting because all I heard Obama's entire 2 terms from my rabidly Zionist father was what an anti-Semite Obama was. Yet if he was going after Syria like this and allowing Israel to do so and arming and funding it, how the fuck can you say that? This support came in the form of propping up its own proxy group called Forsan al-Julan, while providing light weapons, medical aid, and financial support to a range of other armed militia that included the Al-Nusra Front, very famously took on the white helmets, I believe. In recent years, the Israelis have been working on contacts with groups belonging to the Druze community, Druze minority religious sect in southern Syria, even sending proposals to Moscow to create a Syrian Druze state bordering Israel.
Doesn't look Jewish.
That's another buffer zone. And again, balkanization. Remember, we talked about the main goal for this whole thing is balkanization. They want to cut this up into small pieces.
What that is? Yeah.
Well, balkanization is cutting up an entire larger region into smaller countries to remove their power and have them fighting with each other mostly, rather than having them fight, then unite, band together, and fight Israel together. All right.
Makes sense.
Each of them gets their own little country, their own little regional area. You know, they talked about this again 15 years ago. They wanted to give Assad an area. They wanted to give the Kurds northern Syria that bordered Turkey, right? They wanted to give the Shia, I believe it was, the part that bordered on Iraq. They wanted to slice this up and carve this up into different regions and areas and zones, because the smaller they are, the less they can fight against the big world powers. That's what they want.
Well, they've also been attacking every military installation and, ammunition depot. And they bombed something recently that, like, massive explosion, class 3 on the Richter scale,
I think I have that here. I saw that tonight. Vanessa talked about Tartarus gets an earthquake level blast.
Earthquake, which is nuts. People literally thought a nuke could went off, I think.
All right. But Israeli tanks continue to advance further into Syrian territory, meeting no resistance from the newly installed government in Damascus. That government has yet to offer any opposition to Israel's invasion or its hundreds of airstrikes carried out across Syrian territory. It appears that Israel's long sought-after goal of expanding its occupation into Syria has for now succeeded. For now. Yeah.
I don't know about if it's not allowed this recent incursion, yes, but he's talking about the new Syrian government or whatever, right?
The new one. Well, I mean, if you can call it that. But Let me close that up. But Asa Winstanley posts this one, which is weird. I wonder why the Qatari-funded Middle East Eye would disappear this excellent article by Jonathan Cook from their website without an editor's note or even the pretense of an explanation. What?
Well, they definitely have a big reason to when that pipeline is going to go right into their
Where's Jimmy going? What the
straight
fuck?
to Europe.
Because that's what we need with that, which is what the fuck with that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Jonathan Cook, another Indie Media Award honoree, as is Asa Winstanley. We got a bunch of them here. Again, only going to the best of the best, the smartest people in the region that know what they're talking about, or in Britain as well. And here's that blast that you're talking about from Vanessa. Reports of massive explosions in Tartus, Syria after Zionist aggression. The blast was so big, it triggered an earthquake alert of 3.0 on the Richter scale. Right?
Yeah,
and a mushroom cloud. I mean, that is...
The one over to the right.
This one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little better. Wave.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And it's not the only one. I mean, they've been going after all the... So, in the story me and Colin talked about Wednesday, they were targeting anti-air defenses first. Right? So, like, it's... Which is exactly what, you know, the Millennium Game is one of the rules they took away from a supposed, you know, Iran, China, Russia alliance or whatever, right? Was being able to defend your airspace. So Israel's just looking to make sure that it doesn't matter what Syrian force wins, they will not have the means to fight back. That's pretty much all this is. So
Bad Cookies
while they take more and more land,
Bad Cookies is predicting that that's a tactical nuke. Maybe.
I don't think so.
That's a serious...
It's just, I think they hit an ammunition depot. That's what that looks like. So,
and then Vanessa also was
we'd have a lot more problems.
Vanessa was also on T-Lav with Ryan again this week. She was on last week, but this time she's debunking this whole nonsense. Clarissa Ward from CNN.
CNN. Yeah, which got community noted, right?
Oh, dude, so badly debunked that this guy, his fingernails alone, like, if you were starved and for 5 days, your fingers wouldn't look manicured fingernails, this guy. Like, they had already evacuated the hospital, the prison, and then all of a sudden she finds some, sure. All right. And again, you can go to thelastAmericanVagabond.com or thelastAmericanVagabond.substack.com and watch this full hour and a half long interview, because it is full of information and way more than I can bring right now.
I think Fee said today that they're looking at permanent occupation in Israel.
Yes.
Right now.
So basically what had happened...
I don't know how much land they're willing to take. What's stopping them?
Was inside Syria. Assad, and again, you can watch Colin and Reef's coverage from Wednesday night about what happened, but that effectively it looks like a deal was made between Russia and the U.S. and Iran and Turkey, and a bunch of different countries, that this pipeline's probably going to end up going through Turkey. It will be Turkish run, going through a bunch of different places.
From Qatar to Europe or whatever.
Right. And it looks like Syria was exchanged quietly under the table for Ukraine, or at least the parts of Ukraine like the Donbass and what's the other part that I'm thinking of that they had fought over in 2014, that they had originally said that was Russian territory, but Ukraine was fighting. I can't think of it now.
Crimea.
That's it. So Crimea, and so likely that Crimea and the Donbass will end up part of Russia, Ukraine, and that will end up with a ceasefire likely after Trump takes office. And then you'll see more stabilization after they ethnically cleanse Syria. Unfortunately, you'll see all the Catholics run out and driven out. You'll see the non-seculars driven out. Syria will go much more extreme Muslim temporarily, and then Israel will bomb them and call them terrorists too. That's the plan. And take all the land. Greater Israel Project, everyone. Keep it in mind. Don't forget the focus. That's where this is going.
From the Euphrates to the Nile. That is what they want. And probably more than that. Then it's world domination after that.
Again, they're going to take part of Egypt. They're going to take all of Jordan. They're going to take Lebanon, which they're already in. It's just, and there's nobody stopping them. And now they're horse trading around it. Now the question is anybody now making deals on the Ben Gurion Canal? I think you covered that a year and a half ago.
Yeah, that sounds like much more of a plan now. So I don't know what the Yemenis are going to do. That's the thing. And I don't know if we're going to try and retake land back in Syria by any group or organization. That still could be on the table, So,
well, Assad is now
might ruffle a lot of feathers.
Resting comfortably in Russia. I don't know if he's ever planning on regathering the troops to try to make some kind of a run at something, or if he's just going to chill and accept asylum and live out his days living in Russia. I can't imagine he's going to go away forever.
It would be nice for someone to ask some pointed questions to him while he's there.
Maybe. We know a few people that could do that possibly. And there are, again, watch Ryan and Vanessa. Vanessa lived in Damascus for the last 15 years. I would take her word over just about anybody else as someone who has perspective in the region. So by all means, follow Vanessa Bealey. Again, both Indie Media Award honorees, both Vanessa and Ryan at TLAV. The people who I trust the most to give me the truth and to break down the narratives and the lies that are being told both by Israel and the United States and Britain. And Australia, too. All of them. As Bad Cookie says, we are the bad guys. The USA are. That is correct. As even Jimmy Dore gets that. And I love Jimmy. Shout out to our man Jimmy over there. I actually retweeted him today for the first time in a while because there was something about an ethnic cleansing thing. Desert Mantis, good for you. Pay no attention to those in Syria, those rockets in Syria. Worry about those New Jersey drones. No, we're not. We're not going to talk about that tonight. If we were going to do a show next week, though I can't, I might pre-record something or try to record something during the week about it. But I'm already starting to see this getting to get debunked quite a bit. I don't really buy what I'm seeing here, and we'll see how this all plays out. But before we continue, let me ask everyone again to please support INN and independent media if you can. All right, you can do that there. Cash App, Ko-fi, PayPal, Patreon, easiest ways to do it. Or you can subscribe monthly over at IndieMediaToday.com or at INNNewsletter.com. You can find all the links on there. Or you can buy merch at IndieNews.shop. And we've got some real cool, fun merch that you can get over there, too. All right. We're going to talk about Luigi. We got to talk about the Luigi. All right. Last week, we talked about, and we covered Eric Gross's article, which I thought was comprehensive in laying out all the different reasons that somebody would want to take out the United Healthcare CEO. What they hadn't done at that point was found a guy. All right. We had the photos, the APBs, and the Crime Stoppers nonsense or whatever. Already there were questions about whether this was the guy, because there was questions I didn't even put about the thing that he took a city bike and all the different things that we had already known that day. But there's been a series of weird shit that's happened around this character since he was identified, taken into custody. I got another thing I got to find from Tyler Pop real quick that he put in yesterday about the charge in New York.
Hurry up already, eh?
About the charge in New York, and that they couldn't find any charge on the books on any website in New York charging this guy, Luigi Mangione, with anything. I'm looking.
I'm Luigi, number one.
You know, I'm looking for it now. I just got to find it. Real quick. Come on, guy. Here it is. Bingo. Charges dropped, or what that is. Good. That's another one. All right. So we'll get to that later. But there's a ton of fishiness, and I figured what I would do is start with this one. All right. This is like a little summary of what happened the other day when he first got caught. All right. And I'm going to put this up in a second. I know I'm not putting it up yet. Here we go. Zap. All right. This was, again, date of December 9th. That was 6 days ago, last Monday. So we did the show. The next day, they find this guy and they put this up. The New York Police Department have taken 26-year-old Luigi Mangione as a person of interest in connection to the fatal shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. According to ABC News, quote, he was on a Greyhound bus traveling through Altoona on Monday morning, sources said, when he got off and walked into a McDonald's where a witness recognized him from the images of the suspect circulated by police. Mangione was sitting and eating when a McDonald's employee reported him, allegedly. During a news conference on Monday, New York City Mayor Eric Adams said that because of these details, officials believe they have a strong person of interest, which is really weird because it just tells me the opposite, and I'll explain why in a few minutes. During the news conference, it was reported that Mangione was carrying a handwritten document. New York PD Commissioner Jessica Tisch, we talked about her. She's also paid by the Israel government, responded, saying that that speaks to his motivation and mindset. Remember, we covered her when we talked about the Columbia protests, that she's the liaison between NYPD and Columbia University, too.
Yeah.
The police are now thoroughly examining his writings to gain a better understanding of his motives. Additionally, conveniently, he was found in possession of a fake New Jersey driver's license, similar to the one the suspect used to check into a hostel in New York City prior to the shooting. How convenient. Tisch praised the good old-fashioned detective work of the NYPD, which they didn't do anything of, and the power of the public that contributed to the arrest, which did do more, but I think we all should at least be suspicious that this is really NSA and social media spying, that when you say a product that you might be interested in buying, they show it to you in your news feed 20 minutes later, you think that's by accident? Fuck no. Free weed. Somebody said, and of course we have the over at Hotspot, our friend clipped out from the gentleman in Pennsylvania who said, hey, I was eating with my friends and said, hey, that looks like the guy. And then, like, the employee says he overheard them say that.
It was a she.
No, it was an old man. No, the employee was an
old lady.
The person who originally saw him in the restaurant was an old man sitting with a group of old men having coffee. All right?
Okay.
And then the employee overheard him say this to his buddies, and then reported him and called the cops. So it was like secondhand. They didn't even, and it turns out he was in the back. He was eating, they got a picture of him eating a hash brown. Again, was that even him? It's another picture. All right. Then they have him bringing him in
there in Pennsylvania.
and he yells out, "I'm a patsy."
Pennsylvania, taken in custody
just
in
like
Altoona.
Oswald.
Let's just listen in here to this.
He yells it out.
Yep. Listen.
All right, that was just Luigi Mangione as a strong person of interest in this case.
All right. Anyway, he didn't yell it out there, but
I didn't hear him.
He did yell out. Hold on.
He's taken into custody, led with his hands behind his back.
He was trying to yell at the last. I like there a different angle of this shows that he was trying to yell out like "I'm a patsy" or the American people
there was
know
something
better.
where he said, yeah, but he said it was like this is an insult to the American people.
Right.
All I heard.
Something like that. So
You just got Luigi'd.
so there's no way you can honestly believe they found the United Healthcare CEO's killer 5 days later, and he's still wearing the exact same clothes, has the murder weapon on him, and has a written manifesto in his pocket. Just chilling at McDonald's with the weapon and a manifesto, right? Uh-huh. My favorite part is the manifesto. Talk about how he respects them and the job they do. That was so funny. Right? And I'm not going to show the manifesto. All right? That's, again, the same tweet. Then I was, again, on with Truthwire. That's a 15-minute clip that you can find over on INN, and I will put that in the description as well. Check that out. I clipped that out. Now, this is something else I sent to Dr. Nick. This allegedly shows him dumping something at this pile of garbage right here. So if you watch this, and I don't believe there's sound to this, you see him stop at this pile, take something out, and like put it down or reach it. Some people say that they thought that was him possibly placing a murder weapon. I don't know. But he definitely stopped there, did something with that pile.
I don't know. I didn't see a gun there.
I didn't see a gun there either.
I
but
mean,
he
his
definitely
gun is like 1.5 feet long with suppressor on it. You'd think you'd see it.
Here, they're going to show it in slow-mo now. No, there's not supposed to be sound.
Yeah.
But you just watch it go up. And it stops right as he walks up to the pile. Okay.
Luigi time!
Here's another one. Luigi apparently had the weapon, manifesto, which thanked the feds, and the fake IDs on him when spotted at McDonald's. And now they're saying the gun matches and they found his prints at the scene? How dumb are y'all who are eating this up? Like, and I talked about...
Yep.
And I was going to bring it, and I decided, Dr. Nick, I'm not going to bring it. I talked to Reef about it. There's a 30-second clip from the movie Minority Report where Colin Farrell is investigating after the murder has happened in the movie, the big one. And he's talking with another cop. He says, I was a murder investigator for years, and what you see here is an orgy of evidence. And you know how many orgies I went to while I was a detective? The answer was none. Like, somebody did this. This was a setup. All right. And that's what I'm saying here. This is a setup. And the reason why I think, what's the motivation? The motivation is they've got to put a name out there. They've got to pin the blame on somebody. They've got to make this start to go away. And they can't let people believe that they could kill a powerful CEO in broad daylight in the middle of New York City and get away with it. They can't allow for that. So they got to get somebody. Here's another weird thing. I thought this was very funny. Y'all want to talk conspiracy? The real question is, how did that Greyhound bus fit in the Boulevard McDonald's parking lot? That's funny because they said there's a Greyhound bus station in Altoona that the bus allegedly pulled into, that he walked from there to a McDonald's. But here's what's even weirder. I live here. It is most definitely not anywhere near the Greyhound station. All right. And then I read another thing that said that there was a closer McDonald's to the Greyhound station, but he went to one 3.5 miles away. Like, why would he do that? How did he even get there if he was on foot? And he wouldn't have been able to get back on the bus that he was on because the bus was coming from Pittsburgh, allegedly. He went from New York City to
where
Pittsburgh.
Was it going?
Who the hell knows? Weird as shit, right? Even Ron Placone was, figured this out. If the guy was going to take a Greyhound, I'd imagine he'd take the Toronto bus because Ron, remember, is from Pittsburgh, so he knows it wouldn't make sense to go any other way. And guess where that route doesn't stop? Altoona.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that it proves or disproves anything. Of course, it doesn't. I'm just saying I wouldn't take this with a grain of salt. I'd take it with an entire ocean full. So he's even skeptical. Our old friend Ron. Indie left news. My kids still sing it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I like this lady, Amazing Polly. She's got a lot of people pissed off, and occasionally I know, she gets a lot of stuff right. She's been calling out this mainstream alternative media and this new normal narrative and who the players are and who the funders are. And I think she's been pretty damn accurate. She says here, and she was off Twitter for a while. She came back a couple weeks ago. Are people seeing that McDonald's is now a sponsor of sorts of the narrative network? Product placement in fake news. It's a thing. If you pay attention to this, you'll see that this isn't even the first company to participate. Doritos, because the upside down triangle chips seem to fit with another narrative. So somebody points out about the BDS campaign. I had a great back and forth with this lady earlier today, Aisha, about Michael Schellenberger. We'll be probably getting further into that guy's background and the tangle web that he's involved with. All right. But I also found this further down in the replies.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, funny how that keeps popping up. And we know
that
that
a stretch, though, isn't it?
Trump's always been a McDonald's fan. Him standing at the White House in front of the spread for all the college kids, but it is being inserted repeatedly into this new normal narrative, which she has been finding. All right, and then of course Trump tweets this out yesterday. Because New Jersey drones. Chris Christie is the former governor of New Jersey.
Yep.
Product placement. Got to have him getting delivered McDonald's by those drones. That's what all the drones are doing. Ha, ha, ha. They're delivering dinner to Chris Christie. Hilarious. Except that Chris Christie lost most of the weight, if I remember correctly. Or at least had like the Ozempic or the surgery.
Yeah.
Now, what I thought was funny is her talking about McDonald's. Well, Luigi should have gone to the closest Waffle House. He grew up in a rich family, so he didn't know. But take notes. If you're running from the police, go to Waffle House, not McDonald's. Everyone there will impart knowledge to help you on the legs of your journey away from police.
Yeah. Very much so.
I thought that was kind of funny and clever. Right? Go to Waffle House, don't go to McDonald's. Fuck yeah. Although Waffle House employees are abused as shit. And of course, you know all about the Waffle House index when it comes to hurricanes and tornadoes. Basically, as bad as it gets, the last thing in the world that they'll close is a Waffle House. So if the minute they start closing Waffle Houses, you know you better get the fuck out. That's the Waffle House index. All right. Then we get into the real deep conspiracy theory stuff that Dr. Nick showed me earlier today. And he said, did you hear anything about Diddy's attorney being married to Luigi's attorney? Wait, what? Oof. And that there was, an Epstein tie and this sex trafficking ring, Annex IVM.
Allegedly.
The lawyers, no, that's not allegedly. These are really happening, and people went to jail for this. This really happened, right? Diddy's attorney.
Yeah, I'm talking about the connections with the attorney.
Well, Diddy's attorney worked on the RICO case, was involved with Harvey Weinstein and Darren Indyke's criminal defense attorney while he took control of Epstein's estate. 2 days before Epstein's suicide, in jail, he names Darren Indyke and Richard Kahn in his will as his estate's executors responsible for locating his assets and distributing them. Darren Indyke was Epstein's lawyer for over 25 years, so that would make sense. But Mark Agnifilio was representing Indyke during the asset and estate distribution of Epstein. So you've got the lawyer representing Epstein's lawyer is now also representing Diddy. All right. Sure. So that's first. And then you've got Diddy's lawyer is married to Luigi's lawyer. That's weird. But what's worse, is that Luigi's lawyer also works for the Midas Touch.
Sure.
Karen Friedman Agnifilo is the co-host of the progressive legal commentary show Midas Touch, uses her platform to advocate for reform and discuss pressing legal issues. Known for her progressive stance on causes like criminal justice reform and voting rights. Her outspoken left-leaning views have both drawn support and criticism, but her supporters argue that her legal acumen transcends partisanship. All right. Ben Micieles, he's the head of the Midas Touch guy, he's also one of the co-hosts. So basically, he's funding, co-hosting this, and amplifying and supporting her. And by the way, nobody is seeing this stuff. All right. This is getting buried. It's real, but it's getting buried. Well, you know why. All right. She's also a former district attorney who helped prosecute the Weinstein case, known to be a legal expert, and has appeared on CNN. Also sus, because now you're talking about partisan hackery. Midas Touch is a Democratic shitlib millionaire-funded outlet by this guy. They have like a couple of 100,000 subscribers on their Substack newsletter. Insane. I'm sure half of them are bots, but it looks good. Right now, here's the other thing I wanted to show you was, is there even a case in New York at this point? So
did New York just drop all the charges against Luigi Mangione? That is the question we are now asking. We also can see that there is a motion for transport of the prisoner. So now questions are really being raised. So looking through the New York City court system here, we can actually see that there are no charges on record for the case against Luigi Mangione whatsoever.
What?
Through the Pennsylvania side, there is actually a...
What happened?
An order granting for a motion to transport the prisoner. But the question is, do they have the wrong guy? That is what everyone is asking. Now, when you look at this, you're going to say, well, there surely was just charges a few days ago, wasn't there? And yes, there was. This was actually the case details here, where there was one count of intentional murder, loaded firearms charges, and the silencer charge here. But now there is nothing slated on the docket whatsoever here as you look through the case details. Lots of questions are to be asked, and hopefully we can actually get some answers to this.
How about that shit? Shout out to Austin Airs TV on that. And I haven't seen anybody talk about that. That it's off the New York docket. You can't find it on a website anywhere. What happened? Huh. Weird. Again, I don't think Luigi did it. I don't think it was him. I think they needed to find somebody, and they needed a patsy. They have AI technology beyond belief. Clearview AI is a organization that works with police and FBI to help identify people who would fit a profile. Between that and Palantir's social media targeting, they could easily find somebody who looked close enough to the profile to make this work start to build a backstory and create enough confusion to get enough people behind him or against him that a narrative will form and the truth will never be able to come out from there if he wasn't the shooter.
I did it.
Maybe, maybe not. My feeling was not. I mean, there was a thing about the eyebrows, and I know Screw Google was in the comments this week saying, you know, there could be different cameras, different resolution, showing it different ways. I agree with that, different colors or whatever. The clothing being the same, I mean, it was the same jacket. It might have been a different shading because those were different cameras.
Same bag, apparently. Like, you haven't changed shit in 3 days.
But you haven't broken down a murder weapon and gotten rid of it in 5 days? Come on, man. Like, everybody's watched
what, did he not wash his hands, too? Like...
Right, and they say that they found a water bottle at the youth hostel that he was at beforehand, and with a fingerprint. Right. I mean, all of this. The Mickey does kiosk surveillance. That's very funny. Oh, the Mickey D's kiosk surveillance. Oh, right, I forgot about that. A Clearview. There was suspicion that McDonald's, all their kiosks have facial recognition. That's another way that Clearview could have easily known when Luigi walked into the restaurant. He walked up to order and they had a facial recognition thing, again, that fit close enough to a profile that had been programmed in that would alert law enforcement. And that's part of the reason why they're saying that now the McDonald's employee might not even get the $60,000 because they didn't call a certain hotline. They called their local police instead. Ha ha ha. How about because they didn't actually get the guy and that's not the guy? But I remember also watching, what the hell was the name of that movie with Gene Hackman and Will Smith, where Will Smith is running from the law and they're listening in on everybody's cell phones and they plug in a keyword, and the minute somebody in a region says this, they get a thing and they've got a team there like right away. I can't think of the name. Great movie, by the way, and incredible cast, the whole thing. But that technology has been around for 25 years. We know they can do that kind of shit. So take it with a grain. I take all of this stuff with a grain, but either way, enemy of the state. Thank you, Lone Star Viz. Good to see you, bro. Enemy of the state, great cast. What's her name? Lisa Bonet is in it. And the woman who plays his wife, she's great. I mean, everybody is that's a good movie. Another conspiracy theory movie that they're paranoid because they're fucking with you, you know, and that's where at the end Gene Hackman bugs their smoke detector and he has a camera listening and then he can hack into their TV and he puts something up on the set. Very, very good movie. And again, way, way ahead of its time with the technology and what the NSA was doing domestically. And then they would just say, well, I was just told it was a training op. You know, and there is a lot more than just this. I just covered a small bit of the shady shit around what happened here. And that's why I got big questions. And I'm convinced that this wasn't the guy and that they need to find somebody. And eventually we may find out who did it or we may never find out. But all right. I had a few headlines I want to show you without reading the articles. So the first one, no, that's not that. But you know what? Did I put up the wall of fame one more time? Conspiracy theory stuff. I love this stuff. All right. You're not getting that on CNN. Nobody's going that kind of deep and going to look at tweets like that and try to break down. Now, the other thing, again, there's a McDonald's 3.5 miles away. How do you get to the McDonald's? There was another local bus stop that stopped near the McDonald's. That would have mean that he had to get off the bus at the Greyhound station
and walk 3 miles.
Or know that there was a local bus that would take him one stop to the next McDonald's. Okay, maybe he was plugged into their transit system on his phone. I don't know, man. It's shady as hell, man. But Again, thank you to all these people that have already helped. A lot of you are already in chat. Cash App, Ko-fi, PayPal, Patreon. For those listening on the podcast, the Cash App is $ Indie News Network. That's INDIE News Network. Ko-fi.com/Indie News Network. PayPal.me/Indie News Network. Or Patreon.com/Indie News Network. Very simple. Go to indienews.shop for the merch. INNnewsletter.com for the daily update. And you can get that for free or support there with a monthly or annual contribution. All right. Like I said, I had some headlines that I wanted to get to. So let's do that. First off, I would like everyone to go check out Bet Beat's newsletter. We've talked about Bet Beat before. He had an hour-long session. Last week we talked about his sit-down with Matt Kennard. This week he sat down with Asal Rod, political therapy session number 2. They've been doing these episodes on, like, how do you unlearning insane levels of imperialist gaslighting. I love that. How do you unlearn that? By all means, I believe this was an hour. Watch this. Yeah, exactly an hour with Kareem. Then also, Kareem Batash. All right. Popular Resistance, another Indie Media Award honoree. All right. They published an article from EcoWatch. Outgoing Biden administration approves an oil and gas lease in Alaska on their way out the door. Another big fuck you. All risk with no reward to the environmental people. Most aggressively environmental president ever, in the way that you drilled everywhere offshore, maybe. All right. So Biden drilling more in Alaska. Drill, baby, drill. Who needs Sarah Palin when you've got Joe Biden? We covered Sludge's article.
They're about as intelligent.
Right? Hey, Biden is red. Biden is blue Trump. Trump is red Biden. It's all one big party, and we're not part of it. But last week I brought Sludge's article about Elon Musk and how he spread his money around in the 2024 election cycle. This time they brought an article about how lobbyists wine and dine members of Congress despite the gift ban. The 5-minute article that's really interesting.
Since the entirety of elections.
Well, yes, but an analysis of House data, again, shows that lobbyist-led groups are the top sponsors of congressional travel. So they're sending them on junkets and doing whatever they can to kind of skirt around these rules. And Sludge has a good article about that. Then we've got, in the no shit category, from our friends over at Sheer Post, another Indie Media Award honoree, millions will see rise in health insurance in their premiums if federal subsidies expire at the end of next year towards Obamacare. And what's the likelihood that the Trump administration and a Republican Congress are going to extend Medicaid and Medicare federal subsidies? Okay, the entire health insurance is built upon subsidies to health insurance companies for the exchanges. Trump is going to have the ability to completely dismantle that. And this woman who already pays $650 a month for her health insurance, she's on insulin, her premium's going to double. And that's only one case.
She could afford it so much already.
Right. That's only one case. So check this out from Sheer Post. Again, all these links will be in the description. As we show every week, our friend Shanda Masta, who was live last night on Beauty and the Boomer. Gotta check that out. One of the best shows Saturday night. Love that show. She's battling small cell lung cancer, as everybody here, I'm sure, is well aware. She's got her GoFundMe up there. We could certainly use that. It looks like got about $100, couple $100 this week. Thank you to everyone, really. It's the holidays. It's really tough time of year. As we said last week, she's unable to work because she's got to go through treatment. She's doing radiation every day. Plus she's getting chemo every few weeks. And it's rough on top of, toll it's taking on her body. She can't earn, and she's relying on all of us. I know she got to see her grandkids yesterday. That was great. And she's going to kick cancer's ass and kicking her tumor Terry's ass. And 2025, she'll be able to spend a lot more time with the grandkids. But thank you to everyone, and please support independent media, support our friend Shanda, our sister Shanda, who needs the help. And the government, nobody's there doing it for her, and we've got to pick her up and try to help. So we'll do what we can there. Finally, we've got what's left on INN this week. Quite a bit. Well, you just got through the first two shows. All week long, you're going to see AM Wake Up simulcast at 10 a.m. Eastern. That goes till about 1:15, 1:30 usually. And Fridays, you get the Independent Review that Ryan Graham, also, they're all Indie Media Award honorees, AM Wake Up and Ryan Independent Review. They put together a compilation of clips, including usually an INN clip of some kind, and across the best of independent media, and appreciate just being included and honored to be able to share that every Friday. Tomorrow night, we got the Maple Files live with Yeti and Himbo scheduled. Subject to change. I don't know if they're going to or not. They missed the last couple of weeks. Yeti, I know he got the shed all set up, and then I saw him post on Facebook that the generator died out, or he had a problem with the generator. They're going to work on that tomorrow. Hopefully they can get that fixed.
Lord Nelson's trousers, it's the Yeti.
Right. Tuesday night will be the final American tradition of 2025.
It's an American tradition.
Yes, it is. It is.
It's a great American tradition.
Yeah, even Tim Dillon says so. And then Wednesday night, these guys are going to do their final INN news of the year. Thursday night, Snow Himbo will do a Snow Himbo streams. He had a really good show Thursday night. He had a special guest. They watched some kind of movie that she did, a documentary. Friday, we'll have Angel in the afternoon at 7, and then the replay of Tuesday night's show will be at 10:30. Actually, we've talked about doing a holiday party online stream type of thing for INN, and that may happen in lieu of the Jesse replay on Friday night. That's been discussed, but I don't know what we're going to do with that. Like I said, Indie Media Today is my Substack, my newsletter. You can sign up there for free, or you can get a paid monthly or annual subscription. All the clips that are segments from this show are put out there. Original articles that I write, live streams. When I do appearances, and I did do, like I said, I was on with Truthwire this week. I also was live on a show called The New Prisoners on the AM Wake Up channel, and on their channel as well, The New Prisoners Live, TNP. That was on Rumble and Odyssey and all over the place. All the links are there. But guest appearances, I'm going to be doing this week. Zaccaroni Pizza, we recorded on Friday an episode of his podcast. That will be out this week. Tuesday, I will be doing an INN one-on-one with the Dissident, recording it. I don't know when we're going to put it out. Probably Saturday, I'm thinking. Then we've got, like I said, the INN merch store, indienews.shop. You've got Care Bear merch that we put out. I had this little Care Bear design as an avatar for Colin. We've got Jesse Jett merch, so you can get Jesse Zago illustration or Snow Himbos, as well as the Maple Files and Boats Smashing into Other Boats t-shirt. So you get the Boats logo with INN on the back, or an INN beanie. I'm wearing the an Indie beanie right now, not INN, but it has Indie on it. It's great. Get your INN t-shirts. I was wearing one of those yesterday. So comfortable. They're great. indienews.shop. And again, there's pages and pages and pages, 8 pages worth of merch and different stuff. You can break it down by looking at, like, show me pillows and hats, stickers, all that stuff. Bucket hat, very cool stuff. Finally, again, we got the INNnewsletter.com. It's not there, but let's go to INN Newsletter. Right there. INN Newsletter. That's where we put out a daily update of all the live streams, premieres, and articles from that day. I usually put it out about 6 o'clock in the evening. So you'll have all the premieres will have already happened, and the live streams will be that evening. And then weekly, we also send out a weekly update every Friday at 6:45 Eastern. And that will have the calendar and links to all of the appearances the live streams, the articles. No clips in this weekly update because it would just be way too long. So that's what the daily gets you, is the clips in addition to the streams and the articles and the appearances. So there's a reason to subscribe to both. Plus, you're getting that every day, so you can watch it that day and you can see what's live that night rather than just watching it all on replay from Friday when you get all the stuff that had already happened. All right. And then again, getting back to our shop. I love the shop. Wall art. We've also got stickers. So you've got INN die cut stickers. These are inexpensive. So you want to get somebody a cool sticker for their laptop. There's a Snow Himbo stream sticker or a Care Bear. Very cool stuff. We deserve better psyops. I think it was Anna Maris that asked for that. Holland designed this one. When people are occupied, resistance is justified. Jett from DSAI, my dial doesn't go to delicate. That's a Jesse Jett lyric that they turned into a sticker. Very cool, as well as a t-shirt. You got Misty saying, we're fucked. Yeah, I haven't heard that in a while.
We're fucked.
Yeah, that too. All right, well, we're just past midnight, and we're gonna do boats next. We're gonna take a couple of minutes. I'm gonna take a nice little bong hit and get a little something to drink, and then we'll be back in about 15. And we will do boats.
You want to go somewhere?
Yeah, he needs to let the dog out. So, all right, everyone.
Do pretty much.
Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. I love you all. Thank you so much for everything all year long. You make this so much better to do, because doing this for nobody would really suck. Doing this for you makes it a whole lot better. So thank you. Keep sticking around. Keep sharing the show. Support independent media. We need it more than ever. And I'll see you in 2025, fam.
Mwah. Ciao, baby.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry. My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say? So I try.